Hello, thanks for joining me. This is the fourth in a series of videos looking at the gravestones at Cilrhedyn Churchyard, which is being rescued from years of neglect. On the east side of the churchyard was a group of arched monuments. These are quite special. They're rare and only occur in a very small area and date between about 1780 to about 1820. As far as I know, these at Cilrhedyn are the most southerly examples in Wales. Unfortunately, a tree has grown up here and utterly demolished two. Happily, the slate slabs which were inside them have survived, and they're very interesting and have a lot of detail about the people they commemorate. They are all connected to the farm at Cilrhedyn, which in the early 19th century was tenanted by William Jones. As this plaque on the current house tells us, the original house burnt down due to a chimney fire in the back parlour in August 1831 and was rebuilt by David, only son of William Jones, in autumn 1831. I wonder where they lived while it was being rebuilt. It was certainly rebuilt very quickly. The middle of the three stones is in memory of William Jones. He died in 1818, aged 81, before the house burnt down. His wife Mary died the year after, aged 74. The inscription tells us they married in 1764. Also commemorated on the stone are Sarah, their daughter who died aged 3, and Margaret, another daughter, who died in 1818, the same year as her father, aged 50, and her husband John Davis, who died in 1813, aged 46. The stone to the right, which has survived in the best condition, is to another of William Jones's daughters. This is the only one of the three to have an inscription entirely in Welsh. It remembers Martha, who left Cilrhedyn to marry Griffith Evans of Henfedde in Cilrhedyn parish. She died in 1829, aged 57. It tells us her husband Griffith, on the 12th of March 1834, about 9 o'clock in the morning, complained of feeling unwell. He lay on his bed and left this world before 1 o'clock in the afternoon, aged 77. The inscription then goes on to say that this couple had been two regular members of Capel y Graig in the parish of Cilrhedyn for 30 years. In the church and at home they were useful, a phrase used a lot at this time by Christians of an evangelical type. It means useful to God. And their door was open to all. So it can be said that there were few ministers in those days who did not spend some of their time preaching at Henfedde. Ministers used to travel long distances between chapels at this time and often stayed at farms sympathetic to their nonconformist cause, either Baptist, Methodist or Congregationalist. It sounds like the door at Henfedde was open to all of them. The final monument of this group has been pushed over by the tree and the stone surround is collapsed. The slate slab has fallen, but thankfully without being broken, as the inscription is lengthy and interesting. It seems William Jones's son David had left the farm at Cilrhedyn to live in Carmarthen for a while. He had married Charlotte, and the inscription tells us in 1822 they were living in Carmarthen, and their son was an articled clerk. This was their second son, William Havard Jones, who was a very promising youth, articled to Thomas Jones, Esquire, Solicitor, Carmarthen. Unfortunately, he went in company with his friends about 800 yards below Carmarthen Bridge on the south side of the River Towy, where they entered the tide for bathing. But he soon sunk, and though found in about 20 minutes, life was extinct, on the 20th of July 1825, aged 19 years. His parents then occupied a house in Lammer Street, Carmarthen, the back premises of which joined the burying ground belonging to the Presbyterians, where his remains were deposited in a bricked grave contiguous to the said premises. They erected this monument to him, his body being miles away at the Lammer Street Chapel. Once comfortably close by, now distant, They felt the need to put up a monument by which they could remember him. It would have been expensive to build a punt and stone arched monument like this with a lengthy inscription. The bricked grave in which he lies would also have been costly. The former lies in ruins here in Cilrhedyn. The latter, well, the burial ground at the chapel in Carmarthen has been turned into a garden. The monuments here have almost all been uprooted and dumped against the wall. David William Jones died in 1840 in Carmarthen. He seems to have been of a charitable disposition. His death notice says his loss to the poor of the neighbourhood will be great. I don't know where he is buried. Nearby is the grave of the children of William and Sarah Morris of Henfethe. They seem to have lived there after Martha and Griffith Evans. They certainly farmed it in the early 1840s, when the tithe map was drawn up, although only Sarah's name is shown, so perhaps William had died by then. This stone remembers Martha, who died in November 1838, aged 16 months, and also Mary and another Martha. Giving children the same name after one with that name had died was not an unusual practice in the past. Little Mary died on June the 20th, 1840, aged 6 months, and her sister Martha died 4 days later, aged 6 months and 4 days, so they were twins. They came into the world together, and they left it together too. Also on the east side lie the Howell family of Glasspant Mansion near Capel Ewan. They were faithful members of Cilrhedyn Church, and their family vault has no inscriptions, as their memorials were inside the church, now lost of course as it's been demolished. We do know that Henry Williams Thomas Howell Esquire J.P. was buried here at Cilrhedyn when he died in 1901, after what was termed a paralytic seizure, a term used then for a stroke. He was 67. His wife, Joan Temperance Beatrice Patricia Howell, daughter of the Reverend William Lloyd J.P., rector of Manadivey, died in 1917 in Cheltenham. She'd left Glasspant after her husband's death, but her body was brought back here for burial in the family vault. There are 2 vaults here, in fact, one covered by the slate slabs, and a second vault or crypt under a brick arch, now filled in, but opened in 2002 for the placing of the ashes of Harry and Brenda Howell, who died in 2001 and 1990. This vault has a plaque inside it, saying it was built in September 1888 by Samuel Jones of Pentrail, Capel Ewan, and Samuel Jones of Nuckerbetus in 1919. Inside are 2 coffins. I don't know whose they are, but in August 1888, John Hugh Williams Howell, the second son of Henry Williams Thomas Howell, died in London, aged only 13. The crypt may have been built for him. His elder brother, Henry Williams Lloyd Howell, was a churchwarden here and paid for a lamp base for the lamp purchased to light the path to the church in winter. The lamp base still stands. He died in 1916 and was buried at Cilrhedyn. His obituary says he was very kind to his tenants and always ready to do everything he could to his neighbours far and near, fond of helping the poor, and very often entertained them at his mansion. He was a zealous churchman and a member of Cilrhedyn Parish Church. He left his 1-year-old child and a widow, Margaret Zilla Howell, née Evans, born in Capel Ewan. Harry, the child, was the one whose ashes were placed here in 2002. This brass plaque, once somewhere inside the church, but found in the undergrowth by one of the volunteers working in the churchyard, is to another of the Howell family, presumably buried in the family vault. It's to the brother of Henry Williams Thomas Howell. He was Lieutenant Colonel John Richard Howell, J.P., D.L., known as Blundy to his friends. He was an officer of the Carmarthenshire Militia, and master of the Tyvyside Foxhounds and very jovial. Despite being a soldier and a JP, he was not as stern as you might imagine. It was apparently not unknown for some of those brought before the magistrates when he was sitting to seek him out afterwards and ask him if he wouldn't mind chipping in a little bit to help towards paying the fine he'd just imposed on them, and often they were successful in getting some money out of him. He died in 1912. The east window, which once reflected its coloured glass patterns on the Howell family vault on a summer's evening, was given in memory of one of the Howell family. I don't know which member of the family it was, but like them, it has gone from Cilrhedyn forever. Thank you for watching right to the end of this video. Please remember to hit the like button, and if you haven't subscribed to the channel already, please do so. It's free, and if you press the little bell you get notified when new videos come out.